The ASUS ROG STRIX 17 was released in 2023 and was an absolute beast on arrival. But we want to see what this thing is capable of in 2024 and test how future-proof it truly is. Weighing exactly 3 kilograms, this laptop matches Paris Hilton's old Chihuahua Tinkerbell almost pound for pound, so you should be able to tote it around in your bag without any issues. The laptop itself measures 39.5 centimeters by 28.2, ranging from 2.34 centimeters to 2.83 due to its tapered design, but this provides ample space for its beautiful 17.3 IPS display, featuring up to a wide QHD 240Hz refresh rate with anti-glare properties. It ensures a comfortable viewing experience even outside, though let's face it, this is probably aimed at people who prefer indoor activities. So don't worry, it should prevent any reflections from your RGB LED strip. With a response time of 3 milliseconds, G-Sync and Dolby Vision HDR, it's fair to say this laptop excels at everything from displaying video games to movies. And the lid does open very smoothly without having to hold down any weight on the base of the laptop. With absolutely zero snagging on the way up or down, it does make for a pretty satisfying experience when you're starting or ending a session. Now sadly I didn't bring my protractor in to work with me, but the lid maxes out at around about 110 degrees, which doesn't sound like much, but trust me, I had this thing on my lap for a long time and I didn't experience any neck strain whatsoever. And for a full spec breakdown, the laptop is housing an AMD Ryzen 9 7945HX mobile processor that's 16 cores, 32 threads and up to a 5.4 max boost speed, a 16GB RTX 4090 laptop GPU, and this model maxes out at 64GB of DDR5 RAM, and it also has a 1TB NVMe M.2 solid state drive. When I checked online for the price, this 4090 edition wasn't available, but it did have a 4080 variation for $3,099, which was discounted down to $2,799. Depending when or where you're watching this, some of those details may have changed, but that's how the store looked at the end of June 2024 in the UK. The keyboard itself is very low profile and flexible if you really press down on the keys, and each key comes with its own backlit RGB light. Nice and spacious touchpad too, functions exactly how you'd expect, you know, it's a touchpad, no complaints here. And for the ports, you've got your standard 3.5mm combo audio jack, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C that supports display and power delivery, another USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C that supports DisplayPort and G-Sync, one HDMI 2.1 FRL, and one 2.5G LAN port. Plenty of options to keep you connected there. I did want to run a quick benchmark on the SSDs also, so I loaded up Crystal Disk Mark 8 and these are the results. So it looks like the M2 drive is getting around 6700 megabytes per second read speeds with just about 5000 megabytes per second write speeds. I did also make sure to do this on startup with no other applications or activities running in the background. So yeah, very respectable speeds and should be good for pretty much any gaming you can think of. And if you're looking for a bit more of a real world example, here it is copying a 50GB file in about 10 seconds. And yes, this laptop does come with speakers, pretty good ones too. It uses a 2-speaker system with smart amplifier technology, meaning you get nice crisp audio. It does also protect the speakers and supposedly makes the battery life last longer on portable devices. Now, battery life felt pretty great across the board. It takes roughly 1 hour and 7 minutes to charge from 0% to 100, but that is just sat idle on the desktop, so could be different depending what you're doing. And as for power consumption, while just browsing the internet, playing a few games here and there, it would last anywhere between 1 and 2 hours. But again, I'm sure your mileage will vary depending what you're doing with it. I was playing games like Cyberpunk at 1440p max settings, so yeah, just bear that in mind. As for heat during these activities, I don't have a heat gun with me, but I had it on my lap for quite a while, didn't really feel any discomfort, and the fans seem to do pretty much a perfect job without making too much noise. But with any gaming laptop, I would still just recommend using it on a hard surface or a cooling table, just where you can. Okay, now hopping into some gaming benchmarks. The main game I wanted to test out was Cyberpunk 2077. The game itself has a built-in benchmarking tool that I let run at 3 different graphic settings. As you can see from the labels, the clip far left is running everything on max settings, including ray tracing. The middle is running the ultra preset, and just for fun, the one on the right is running the low preset. I'm going to let this benchmark test play out, and I'll see you in a minute. So yeah, very impressive stats on Cyberpunk, especially with seeing over a constant 60 FPS with every single setting maxed out. Kinda blew my expectations out of the water if I'm honest. But I did also fancy jumping onto Tomb Raider, because I love it. There were less graphic settings to play with on this one, but as seen by the tags, I tried it on 3 presets being Ultra, Medium and Low. Tomb Raider was a bit of a funny one, as there wasn't really much difference between any of the benchmarks. But hey, that's just what you get when the developer actually optimizes their games beautifully. Again, I'm going to let this play out and I'll speak to you shortly. That sums up our time with this laptop, and it gets a big thumbs up from us. This laptop is just one of the amazing ASUS ROG STRIX laptop series, and while they do all range in specs and prices, they're all fantastic machines. If you like what you've seen here, I would strongly recommend checking them out, and you can also purchase them on cyberpowersystem.co.uk. Hope you enjoyed this one, give it a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more.